Okay, everybody, we have got Troy Bullock in the house today. Troy's fighting next week on the Once Upon a Time card. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. Feeling
Thank
good.
you so much for coming on, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate
Taking
it.
time out of your busy schedule.
Flat out.
Training a lot these days.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, man. How's training going?
Good, really good. Been feeling good. Been training as usual with Paul.
I'm just going to put this in front of your face.
Nice, mate. Training as usual with Paul out of his house. Getting as many times a week as I can there. Tuesday, Thursdays, we usually train at 4 o'clock at his place. And then obviously I do a fair bit with Eric and Christian as well. So getting those in, getting my runs in. Yeah, I feel good. Everything's
awesome.
felt good.
And how long have you known Paul for?
I've known Paul now for since I was 14, pretty much. I went to the school to Frank Dando's there, the school he teaches at. Wasn't fitting into the mainstream and stuff like that, and was my mum found the school through word of mouth. Someone spoke to her, mentioned about it, and I'd just been kicked out of McKinnon Secondary, so I had a bit of time out of school, and we went to she said she had an interview for a school. We went there, ended up going there for 3 years, and became good mates with Paul through that, and started training with him. And
awesome. So for those of you who would be listening right now and don't know about Frank Dando's, do you mind giving a bit of background as to what the school is and what's it's designed to do?
Easiest way to put it is, I guess it's a school for kids who don't fit into the mainstream. So it's for kids with either learning difficulties, too much energy, they don't fit, and obviously with teachers probably got it pretty hard as well in mainstream schools. There's 25 kids. They're trying to focus on 24 of them and one's giving them grief. That's probably very hard for them to focus on that one individual and give him the guidance that he needs. So whereas Frank Dando's is that little bit more focused. So there's 3 or 4 teachers to, a school of 30 kids, and where they can give them that individual focus and that time that they need and guide them. And it's not only about, academic education, it's more about life coaching as well. So they really take the time to sit the kids down and see what's going on in their home life, see what's going on in their personal lives and outside of the school. And they guide them not only on their academic troubles that they're having problems with, but if they're running around in the streets, or they might be, divulging into drugs, or they might be stealing cars, getting in fights, just disrespecting their parents, a lot of different things. And the teachers that are there are all so level-headed, great role models, and they bring the kids in and have a chat with them to see what the issue is. And then they also show them where to use their energy, which is a big part is sport. Obviously 50% of the curriculum is sport. So we swim and martial arts.
And to have male role models, strong male role models like a Paul Fifield there would really keep a young person accountable, I'd 100%, imagine.
Yeah, correct. Well, I obviously, my father wasn't around heaps as I was growing up. He was over in WA, remarried, moved away. I'm sure he had his own things going on, but so I was with my mum and my nana at the time. Mum was really sick, so it was a bit of an uncomfortable home life, I guess you could say. And so I didn't have a lot of male role models in my life. And when I went to that school, and I guess that's probably wise as well, I had no one really pulling the reins in at home. So I sort of could do whatever I wanted. I could run around. I was running around the streets doing whatever I wanted any time of day, any time of night, wasn't going to school. And then after going to Frank Dando's, had these people who would pull me in every now and then and say, but at the same time, they weren't controlling. They weren't over the top of you and trying to break your balls, I guess you could say. They were just there to say, hey, mate, maybe this isn't the best idea, and they'd sit and speak with you like an adult and pull you in, and I think that's what I needed at the time. So I had great people like, as Paul, one of the best. He's like a father to me. Zed Zachariah has been amazing as well. He was a big part of my life. Sam Battaglia is still a very good friend today. I see him and speak to him all the time, and obviously see him at the gym here. And they've all been massive guiding figures in my life as well. And Frank as well. Frank was, is the epitome of a role model. At 90 years of age, he's still skiing down black slopes and still training every day with the boys, and throws them around judo mats, and he's awesome. Unbelievable as well. I
love the idea of that school, man. And yes, yourself and Cameron Eyes is also a trainer here who came through that program as well. I can imagine just having those people to look up to, and those people that you really want to impress and that you want to, do well for, would have had a big impact on your life in coming into your adult life.
Massive. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have got where I got without them. They, so I think 15, 16, 17, I was at that school. And they got me to a point where I then left that school and was still very close with them, still in touch with them. They ended up guiding me. I did my VCE on my own, enrolled myself to Sandringham Secondary, did VCE. It wasn't, once again, I didn't get 90 or anything on my inter-score, but I mean, I got through VCE, which at one point, no one would have thought I could do, and I got through doing decent scores in some subjects and, in others just, passing rates, but still passed my VCE and did what I needed to do. Then had a few years doing work and a few different bits and pieces. And in the end, I applied for two things. I applied for the Army. I wanted to be in the Commandos, but in the Special Forces. That was a dream of mine my whole life. And then the other one was the MFB Metropolitan Fire Brigade as well. So that was a big one for me. And in the end, I got accepted to both. And in the end, I chose the Metropolitan Fire Brigade. And went down that stream.
What made you choose that as opposed to being in the Army?
Well, the Army was a big dream for my whole life. But I guess the thing that scared or was a deterrent with the Army was it is your life once you go into it. So I love Melbourne. I've always lived here. And I had a very an attachment, I guess, to Melbourne, all my friends here and stuff like that. And I was a bit hesitant to leave and, go overseas and go different places all the time and never really be back in Melbourne because most of the basing's up in New South Wales, Western Australia for those two different things.
Right. There's a lot of that sort of unknown about the Army.
Correct.
There's like a really romantic view of it, but it's probably not quite what you think it's
exactly right. And I knew it would be pretty hard where MFB was, it looked grouse on paper, 4 days on, 4 days off, 10 weeks leave a year. Grouse, top of the community, everyone respects you and everyone can look at you in a beautiful light. And that really attracted me to it. I thought this is going to be great, and the more I read into it, the more I looked at it. I knew a couple of guys who were firefighters and they sort of coaxed me into it a bit more, and the more I looked at it, the better it became. So
I know a few firefighters myself, and it does look like a pretty sort of solid life. And the 4 days on, 4 days off thing's good. Getting a bit of leave as well, and especially as a young man, that's quite a cool career sort of path to be in.
100%.
Yeah, man. I know there's a new station that has also opened in Glen Iris that I just had a look around, and mate, they just gone to town on it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that's right. That's literally next to my house, pretty much. And here I'm going all the time. Just in Glen Iris, and they. I hear them going off all the time. So that's the new fancy station they've got there. So
it looks like a bloody big greenhouse.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Some of the
all in glass.
The architecture they got now. So it's good.
So when did you start competing in boxing?
I would have trained with Paul when I was 15. So pushing me back now, but what's that? 10 years ago. No, 14 years ago. Jeez, I'm getting old. 14 years ago. So that's 2005. Around 2005, trained with Paul. So probably around 2006, 2007, I would have had my first fight, just first amateur fight. Had a couple fights, bit of a break, couple fights. I think I ended up having 5 or 6 amateur fights all up. And that same thing. It was massive for me then because it was the thing that kept me from running around the streets and stuff like that. I'd go out and drink and going out partying all the time and doing stupid stuff. And after a little while, I'd call Paul and go, I've been going out a bit too much, mate. And the first thing he'd say is, come back into the gym, mate, start training, So I'd go straight back to the gym, start training. You'd just get that bug again, and I'd start training as hard as I could and end up fighting again. So it was the one.
So you didn't feel too self-conscious about telling Paul what you?
Nah. Paul's always he's been like a father to me. As I said, he's like a father to a lot of people. He's unbelievable. He's never had a judgmental eye. No matter I've gone off the rails a few times, and when I have done those things, I can give him a call anytime and say, and literally those are the words I spoke. I'd call him and say, I've been effing up, and he'd just go, no worries, mate. He goes, come into the gym, start training, get back in the gym, and that was all it took, and it was just that little cue in my brain to go, yeah, that's right, that's what I need, So I'd get back to the gym, start training again. It was almost like everything fell back into place, You almost felt that clarity, clarity of thought. I felt better in myself. I felt better in what I was doing. And then that just...
It's kind of like that anchor, isn't it? It's like that one thing that if you don't have it, you might just float in whichever which way.
Correct.
But if you've got that anchor as like the training, it's kind of like that home, that place to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's why, I've just started coaching back here. And it's been something I wanted to do for a while, but just obviously the past couple of years have been a bit interesting. So I worked in, Nick, Paul's son, worked for Metro. He got me a job working on the rail. Which was really good at the moment. It was a booming industry, and I took the opportunity while it was there to make a little bit of money and do what I could there. And it was really good. But the whole time I've been itching to get back here and coaching. So I was obviously coaching here in 2017 and obviously had a few things go on where I had to go away for a bit. And when I've come back now, this is what I've been wanting to do. So it's been nice to come back here and be back in the gym and coaching again. As I said, I feel whole again. I feel like
that's fantastic.
This is where I want to be. So it's grouse.
And have you got many clients that you're taking, or are you just mainly focusing on your fight next week?
No. So it's good. I think I think this week I'll take maybe 7 clients. So it's slowly building. It sounds like a slow number, but I've been back for 3 or 4 weeks now. So it's slowly starting to snowball. And I guess it's just having your face around the gym, taking classes and stuff. So I've taken classes last night, I've taken another class tonight at 6. And that's sort of that snowball effect of people seeing your face around, people start asking if they want to train with you, and it gets going. So it's good. And being here's a grouse as well. It gives me the opportunity to come in the mornings. I might take a couple clients, then I get into my session. I do my own session, do some running or do some bag work, do some pads, whatever. And then I'll go home for a bit, come back in the afternoon and once again do another session, and then go into my PTs and my classes again and stuff like that. So
you're pretty full on at the moment, man.
It's good. Yeah, it's grouse. It's a good lifestyle. I think that's the whole thing that attracts me to this whole environment is the lifestyle. I always enjoyed training, but with working in other industries, training was the second part. You'd go work a 10-hour day and then you'd try and fit training in, whereas this is training is life. And I think that's from looking at Paul and Sam and all those guys, they've made their life about fitness and showing people how good health and fitness is for not only for your life, but for your mental, your mental state. And I think that's something that I want to try and emulate as well now.
Do you feel like you've really sort of embodied that sort of that comeback in a way, like that where you can sort of go to one place and then train and get right back up there?
100%. It's definitely and it's definitely not a perfect. I can't say it's a perfect system I've got, because it's been since I was 15 since I started training with Paul. I'd train for a couple of years. I have a couple of fights. I'd feel really good. And then you just drop off after a while, you go out a couple of times, you drop off that rhythm again, and I'd lose track of what I was doing again, and it's happened a couple of times. So I think I haven't perfected the art yet. I can't say that I've got it completely down pat, but it's definitely this is, as you said, it's an anchor, and every time I'm back here, it feels right. And I think that the more I do it, the more I see it, the more I want to embody exactly who Paul is. You look at him, he trains, he preaches what he does. He's, the picture of health, and he's.
So the good thing about him is that he's, sorry to cut you off.
No.
So he doesn't hold everyone accountable to his standards.
No, that's right.
Because he holds such a high standard. That's something that you can try and aspire to.
That's right.
But if you're doing your things, I think he understands about our flaws and that we all have our downfalls. And while he will hold you accountable to it, he doesn't try and hold you accountable to his standards.
Yeah, that's right. I think for years I always looked at that as well. I always thought, I want to be this, I want to do that. I want to be able to do this and train like that and eat like. You can't do it. I personally, that's such a high standard to do. So I found that I just have to work on myself now and work on those sort of tasks. So trying to emulate that as much as possible without holding myself to a standard that maybe isn't achievable for myself.
Do you feel like you could, be a role model to other young men who are going through similar things as well?
For sure. I think from where I've come now and looking back at the past and everything like that, I definitely can. And I think that's exactly what I want to do as well. Definitely into the future. I'd love to be able to help kids who are, in similar shoes to what I was at Frank Dando's and things like that, and kids in other paths who are having a bit of trouble, whether it be with, their home lives. They might be, maybe they don't have home lives, they're in foster families and things like that. I'd love to be able to coach them. I think boxing has such a redemptive value. You can bring people into a boxing gym from any walk of life, and we all find a common ground, and I think it brings out the best in everyone.
It's universal language, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's given me so much, and as I said, every single time I've come back to the gym or every time I've started training again, I've felt amazing, and I think
often, when you're talking about people being painted with the same brush in a boxing gym, it's true, because if you can be whoever you want to be outside of the boxing gym, but once you're here, you leave your ego at the door, but you also leave your baggage at the door too, and you're not going to be judged on what you are, outside of here. When you come to the boxing gym, everyone's kind of the same, which is a really beautiful thing in my mind.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And I think that's where the challenge as well, with the FightFit challenge that they do and everything like that, it's massive, plays a massive part. I think everyone loves the idea of boxing. Everyone to some extent, wants the idea of being a boxer or having a fight or challenging themselves in that way. And all these people come from different walks of life, from, whether it be white collar, trades. There's other blokes who we've met here who, similar walks of life to me, had a few dramas in their lives, and they've done the challenge, and every single one of them ends up in the same stage in the same show, going through the same training, and they all push together to end up one.
No one
one
ever
common
regrets
goal,
it. As I said, I've seen a lot of people do the challenge. I've seen no one regret it.
Yeah. Everyone walks out with a massive smile on their face, don't you? They see me out the back after, and everyone's just, you'd never see so much euphoria. Everyone's so stoked with how they've done, win or lose, draw, whatever the result is.
You got there, you achieved it, and you feel like you can climb mountains after
especially
that.
with all your friends and family there. They're all, it's a great environment as well. You've got a couple thousand people cheering for you, and no matter what you do, you walk out, everyone claps for you. Everyone respects what you've done.
And it's not for some people, it's like their first time ever doing like sparring. And that's right. Quite intimidating 100%. When you think about it, getting in there and just punching on with someone. And 100%. I actually remember vividly, because I did the challenge last year. And I remember vividly, I was like kind of in a conversation with you and someone else, but you were mainly talking to the other person. I think I was just sort of eavesdropping. And you were like, I had like a moment of realization where I just think I've just got to get out there and punch on. I think you're like, it was like before a training or something like that.
It was when I was, I remember it vividly. I would have been, about 15 years old. I've been training with Paul for almost probably a year. And every time I went to spar, throwing a punch or throwing combos was such a challenge, because punches coming back at you was a different thing, And I always fancied myself. I thought, I'm all right with things like this, but I just couldn't. And I was sparring, guys like Eddie and Mark and Faisal and all these guys who are a lot older than me and they've been around as well. So that challenge of throwing punches was a big thing. And I never really would throw, and I'd just cover up and whatever. And then so after this time, I was sitting in the toilet, pre-training poo, and I'm sitting there just
nervous poo.
Nervous poo because I knew it was sparring day. But I was psyching myself up, and I was saying to myself, go out there and just have a go, just punch on pretty much, And so anyway, walked out and gloves on, everything. That was the best sparring session I had. It was the first time that I just went for it, and from there it just sort of molded, and then sparring was sparring, and the more I did it, the more it became, easy to do, now it's my favorite part of training, sparring days are the best days.
It's really fun when you like can sort of, and I'm sort of in that stage. I feel like even though I've been boxing for a few years, I still feel like I get those nerves every time I want to spar. And I'm always like, I love, like when you land a nice combo, it's fantastic. But most of the time for me, when I'm going in to throw a combination, I like probably hesitate a bit too much because there's punches coming back. If I'm fighting someone more advanced than me, then I can't just take my time and pick my spots 100%. Because there's something coming back 100%. At me. And that's a really hard part about it, is that you're going to get countered by someone.
100%. I think that's why it's such a good sport as well for mental development, I guess, is because you overcome so many obstacles, and it's such a not a natural sport. Your natural instincts for a punch is to shy away, is to hide, to cover up. And if someone's punching a lot at you, your natural instincts just to cover and hope it goes away. Whereas in boxing, you've got to sit there, you've got to relax, put your hands up, watch the punches come, just roll with them, just relax. Getting punched should be a recovery, which is such an unnatural thing, which I think teaches people such a big thing. Is just to relax, get through it, just move on, just roll with the punches, you'll be fine, and you move on to the next stage and you're fine,
Yeah, it's a very unnatural thing. As you said, like, being comfortable is something that it doesn't really come very often in boxing. But once you sort of can relax a little bit more, you'd know more than me, but you can become more comfortable with it. You can start enjoying the sparring, enjoying the challenges, but it's such an obstacle, isn't it, to just overcome that?
100%.
And anyone who would do a FightFit challenge or do an amateur fight or anything would have to overcome that obstacle.
So many things,
What are some of the other real obstacles that you feel like people have to overcome in terms of getting fight fit?
Probably your commitment. I know a couple of guys I've been training and even just walking around chatting to at the gym is there's a lot of guys I say, oh, you should do the challenge, or they've just signed up for the challenge and they're going to me, oh, I don't know how I'm going to stop going out on the weekend. I don't know how I'm going to stop doing these things. So you've got to, you got to have commitments to the fight. I mean, it's such a big thing. If you're not committed, you're not going to do well, and you've got to be committed. If you're going to stand in front of a couple thousand people in a boxing ring with one other person, all eyes are on you, you've got to commit to what you're going to do, whether it be challenge is a prime example. You've got 8 weeks. 8 weeks, we train you hard. You're going to train 3-4 days a week, couple PTs. You're going to be doing track. You're going to be doing all these things. If you don't commit to doing those training sessions and working for those 8 weeks, and it's only 8 weeks, if you don't commit to that, you're going to have issues when it comes to the show. And it's going to show. And people, I think, a big thing's commitment. I think people have a lot of issues with commitment, especially when it comes to training. People love the idea of training and stuff, but when it gets hard, when they do a couple of weeks and they feel good, but it's easy to drop into those old routines. As I said, right. I used to fall back into my old routines as well. And I think that commitment, I think it teaches you to stay focused, to stay committed, and what's actually good for you in life. And commitment's probably one of the biggest things that it is a struggle for people as well.
Man, I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, because it's so important.
Yeah,
it's so important. I know a lot of the guys around the gym here, whenever I'm doing like, pads or maybe even a little bit of sparring with guys, I'm like, oh, you should do a challenge. And then quite often the response is, oh, but I don't think I can do. I've got this thing. I'm going to get pissed the weekend before.
Yeah, that's right.
But once you do that, and then you go to those events and you just don't stay for as long as you don't drink.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I think that, in my opinion, don't drink the whole camp.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think black and white. You can't be like making yourself excuses here and there. But once you do that, it's the most empowering thing.
100%.
Once you realize that, oh, fuck, I've got the mental fortitude to actually say no to that and to just train my ass off. And then by the end of the 8 weeks, you're like, have a look at me.
That's right.
You feel grouse. But if, on the other hand, if you don't do that, then you'll have that. You'll feel like, oh shit, I could have done this, I could have done that.
Yeah, for sure.
And you don't want to sleep on a dishonest man's pillow.
Right.
That's for sure.
The other week I had the grand final day. Obviously, we just had grand final day past. Right. That's a big day for everyone, And all my mates are going, "Well, you're not drinking, Rara. You got to be kidding me." They go, "It's not going to change anything." I said, "It probably won't change anything physically, but mentally, it might. It might. I might have that doubt when I go into the ring next Friday. I might be sitting there before and go, I shouldn't have had those drinks the other week, and that plays on your mind, which then you don't go into the ring being fully confident what you've done for the past however long your camp's been.
That's exactly right.
That's a big part,
You're spot on.
Having mental clarity when you go into that ring is another big thing. You want to be mentally confident of who you are. You want to know that you've done that 8 weeks or 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever your camp's been, to the full extent of your abilities, and leave no stone unturned. If you go in there with doubts, they're going to show. They're going to show, especially against a good opponent. That's the thing
as well that people don't understand when you're saying, oh, but I don't think I can. I don't think I can drink on your your birthday or whatever. And people are like, oh, it's just one night. What's one night? Yeah. It's the mental thing.
Yeah, that's right.
The mental
that's
thing.
Right.
When I step in that ring, I want to know that I did everything
that's
right.
That's
and this time around, I've got a dietitian on board, Michelle Reeves, who's absolutely unbelievable with what she does. And then, I'm been training and sparring over at Collingwood with Nick Carra for the last few weeks, and I'm really, really got my mind set on losing weight. I'm at about 80, walking about 87, 88 at the moment. Beautiful. I would love to get down to about 82.
Yep.
I've got my before shots.
Yeah.
And then Michelle Reeves is coming on the podcast next week.
Awesome.
So she's going to kick my ass.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, she'll come on the podcast again, and then we'll see my progress.
Beautiful, man.
So,
that'll be good.
If I don't do it, then
summer's coming as well.
Summer's
coming as well, so that's going to matter.
I'm going to South America the day after the fight.
Perfect.
So I've got to really be looking good.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the South American people.
Yeah, I can imagine. Don't we all?
How are you feeling though, man? You're fighting next week. Who's your opponent?
Fighting next week. So it's first time back in about 2 years now. This will be my third pro fight. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good.
So it'll be this week when this podcast is released. It'll be this Friday.
So, yeah, perfect. Yeah. So Friday 18th of October. So yeah, feeling good. I've been training, usual training, sort of going through the usual motions. Probably the difference with this camp that I haven't had before is my sparring. So I've been sparring with Jason Waitley, who's easily, you'd have to say, one of the best in Australia at the moment. He's fighting this Saturday night, which was that that be the 12th. And he'll do really well. I've been sparring 6 rounds with him, quite competitive, feeling good. I feel really confident in my skills because of that. That's probably been the biggest change in this camp. Don't know much about the guy I'm fighting. Know his name, know a couple of people who know him, but we don't really have much information. But at the end of the day, I'm confident in my skills, and when I get in there on that day, I know what I got to do when I get in there, and it doesn't matter what he's going to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. What are your strengths? Hopefully, your opponent's not listening, so don't say too much. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. No, as I said, it's not going to matter. My strengths, I don't know. I've been around it for a long time now. So even though it's only my third pro fight, as I said, I've been training since I was 15. Even though it's been on and off, I've been around a lot of good fighters and a lot of good boxers for a long time. So even though it's been sporadic training, it's been, I mean, even when I wasn't fighting, I was always training here and there. So I've had consistent training. I've been around the sport. I've coached the sport. And I think for that, my boxing IQ is there. I feel good on the, offensive and defensive. I mean, I feel good regardless. I think my fitness is going to be easy. 4 rounds is not going to be a problem. I've been doing 6 hard rounds with, as I said, Jason Waitley. So I think 4 rounds is going to be,
awesome.
Walk in the park on the night. Yeah.
And you enjoy getting in there with Jason Waitley? It wouldn't be something that I'd particularly look forward to.
No, yeah, it's grouse. It's grouse. It's actually the first week was amazing. I've never seen punches come like that, And the first one, it was amazing. They're so direct. His hands are from here. They're full extension straight in your face, and it was amazing. And as the weeks went on, I just started to gauge it more and more. And
right.
It's I feel much more confident from that sparring than I ever have. It's the best sparring I've ever had, And we've sparred. I think even though we've had all the names who are here, obviously at the gym that I've sparred and trained with for years, you get very used to your sparring at the gym, because I'm seeing them weekly. I know what they do, and you probably look after each other a bit. When you go to other gyms, it's that competitive. You've got that competitive nature, And so I was going out to Jason's gym out in Ringwood. Go there first week, jump in, and we ended up doing 6 rounds straight. And his work rate is second to none. He puts you, and any time you drop your hands, any time you do anything, he makes you accountable. So it keeps you switched on the whole time. It's a high work rate, and doing 6 rounds with him, there's not much better than that. So
that's
I'm
awesome.
Looking forward to it. And then,
what does the rest of your training schedule look like?
So I'm usually boxing probably 5 days a week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I usually box. Running sprints, I do track on Sundays.
With Eric Diamondstein?
Yeah. Usually get down there and, I've been doing 800, 400, 200, do 3 sets of that. All under 3s, under 90s, all those sort of times.
So you have to get under a certain time or else you go
time.
again?
That's right. That's great. So it's probably the hardest day. But then, I do probably another set of sprints on the treadmill on Wednesdays. And then I also do probably 2 other recovery runs. So probably training close to 11 times a week.
Man.
So the volume's there.
You getting in the bay and getting the recovery in?
That's one thing I probably need to do for the next camp. Is
sauna?
Definitely,
do you ever do sauna?
I haven't done any of that sort of stuff. And I do at times start to feel my body go, start to feel the calves and things start to tighten up. So that'll be a big part for the next camp. I'll definitely look at recovery a lot more and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm probably the furthest thing from an elite athlete you'll find. Yeah. But I find personally that the sauna is a really good one. It kind of just loosens you up.
Yep.
Especially after a big weekend, you wouldn't be having any of them.
Yeah, that's
recently
right.
I've had a few of those. After a big weekend,
the
sauna's great. But also after training, the next day I find it loosens you up a little bit.
Beautiful. I'll take your advice. I'll jump in and get going.
If you need any advice, mate,
there we go. Perfect. I'll keep coming to you. Perfect.
So what's next for you, man? After this fight, what does the future hold for you?
So as I was just chatting to Jake then, as you just had a chat with Jake as well.
Yep.
And he was here and I had a chat
with
Jake
Ellis, the great man.
Yeah, the great man. He's they were just saying to me that they've got quite a few shows coming up. So they're going to pencil me in for those as well. One, they got only a couple of pro fights on the night. They're going to try and pencil me in for that as well. But then I've also got I'm looking at December 14th. Will Tomlinson's got a show on, which Jason Waitley's fighting on as well. So consistent sparring up to them, which will be good. But just once I've got this one in, get the ring rust out next week. I'll definitely look at having another fight before the end of the year.
So you want to stay active, keep rolling
active.
over?
Definitely one before the end of the year, and then there's usually a bit of a lull over the summer period with fights, promoters and stuff. We don't usually get a lot of fights in January, Feb. Not that I usually know of. So I'll just stay consistent, stay training, and then I'll definitely. I've got goals in my mind. I'd like to get probably another 4-rounder, maybe a 6-rounder by the end of the year. And then by next year, I'd like to look at obviously seeing how I go in the next couple of fights. I'd love to look at getting a big title or a shot in an Australian title if I can. So we'll see.
Awesome. So what weight division are you fighting in?
Fighting in cruiser at the moment, sort of catch weight of cruiser. So cruiser is quite a big division. It's 79 to 91 or something like that. So it's probably the biggest weight range there is for things. So in this weight, I'm fighting at cruiserweight, which is a catch weight though, is 88 kilos. So we've agreed on a weight that we've both got to come in at. And my weight the past couple of weeks has started to really drop off. So what I'll probably look at doing is I'll look at fighting 85. I'll probably sit around 84, 85. And over the next few fights, I'll do a cut to 79 and get into that light heavy range. And then that way,
I guess you're holding a lot of muscle in top of your
and a bit of water as well. I'm still holding a bit of fat as well. So I'll be able to, I reckon, drop to 79 with a good cut with water loading, low carb, all those little tricks that we do a good sweat out in the sauna. And then if I can fight at 79, I think I'll be a strong 79, strong.
Man, for sure.
So I'll be able to, that's what I'll look at doing in the future. And that's where I'll look at trying to go for a state title and hopefully see how far we can go.
Well, we'll be monitoring your progress, mate, and we'll get you on the podcast again to chew the fat again. As I said, mate, if you need any advice.
Thank you, mate. I'll be coming up to you daily, mate. Don't worry.
You said that your missus manages your social medias, but tell us, man, is there anywhere we can find you at the moment? Are you on the ball ball with that stuff?
Yep. So it's I've just started trying to pump up the social media. So yeah, it's good. Troy Boxer. So TroyBuboxer. Just started to pump the page. So yeah, I've got plenty of stuff going on there now.
And that's Facebook and Instagram.
That's Facebook and Instagram. Yep. And we'll I'll have plenty of more training things going up. There's a couple. Just had a mate make a training montage for me, which was grouse.
Beautiful.
And so yeah, I'll definitely try and push that now.
Troy Boxer, jump on, guys. There'll be some good content.
Hopefully.
The great man's learning.
That's right.
Beautiful. All right, man.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Jake. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Cheers.